ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रीराम जयम्। शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। Namaskar and welcome back to Amar Bharati Samskrita YouTube channel, where we are studying the Manika Dvitiyo Bhagah CBSE Class 10 Sanskrit textbook. In that, the Panchamaha Patha, lesson number 5, which is Abhyaasavashagam Manah. Mind can be controlled by our habits or practices. Abhyaasavashagam Manah. We now look at the lesson along with an English explanation. We first look at the meaning of the title. Abhyaasavashagam Manah. Abhyasaha means practice, habit or practice. Vashagam means being influenced by, being under the control of, being under the power of. Manaha is mind. Means our mind is influenced, controlled by our habits, our practice. So what it means is that mind can be controlled by our habits and our practices. It is not that the mind cannot be controlled at all. Mind can certainly be controlled by changing our habits and our practices to the favorable ways. If our habits and practices are unfavorable, our mind will be uncontrolled. But if our habits and practices are channelized in a particular direction, in a favorable manner, then the mind can certainly be controlled by our habits and our practices. So this begins, as usual, with an introduction, an introductory conversation. Sangeeta. Sangeeta says, Amulyaha eshaha pustakanam sangrahaha. This book collection or library is indeed invaluable, very, very valuable. Ravi says, Sangeete, O Sangeeta, Ayam asmakam vidyalayasya pustakalayaha. This is our school library. Sangeeta says, Aho, oh, atra tu grantha chakrika api asti. Indeed, here indeed is a circular bookshelf, which means you can rotate that bookshelf and see all the books which are there in that bookshelf. Circular bookshelf is grantha chakrika. Ravi says, Ravihi, yes. अस्याम ग्रंथचक्रिकायाम अनेके संस्कृत ग्रंथाः स्थापिताः. अस्याम ग्रंथचक्रिकायाम अनेके संस्कृत ग्रंथाः स्थापिताः. In this circular bookshelf are placed many Sanskrit books. Sangeeta says, Patitva, having read Vedaha, the Vedas, Upanishadaha, Upanishads, Ramayanam, Srimad Ramayanam, Mahabharatam, Srimad Mahabharatam, Puranani, the Puranas, Katham, how? Atra Gita tu nadrishyate. Here the Bhagavad Gita is not seen. We are seeing the Vedas, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata and Puranas, but we don't see Bhagavad Gita, is what Sangeeta is telling. Ravihi, ayi, oh, Gita tu Mahabharatasya eva amshaha. The Gita is indeed a part of the Mahabharata itself. Sangeeta says, Mahabharate to, in the Mahabharata, Kaurava Pandavanam Yuddham Varnitam is described the war between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Where is Gita described in Mahabharata? It only talks about a war between two pairs of cousins, Kauravas and Pandavas, so it talks about them. So how do you say it contains the Gita? Then what does Ravi say? Ravi, Mugdhe, O innocent one, or really meaning, O ignorant one, O ignorant Sangeeta, you are so ignorant. Kim na janasi, don't you know? Tasminnev yuddha kale, in that very time of war, Sri Krishnaha, Mohagrastam Arjunam yet upadishat. Whatever instructions or advice Sri Krishna gave to whom? To Arjuna, Mohagrastam Arjunam. To Arjuna who was confused or bewildered. Bewildered about what? About dharma, adharma, duty, non-duty, jivatman, sharira, etc. Tadeva, that itself, Gitayam Nibaddham, is embedded in the Gita. So, the very advice which Lord Krishna gave to Arjuna at the beginning of the war, that is embedded in the Gita. That's what is the Gita, is what Ravi is telling Sangeeta. Sangeeta says, Smarami, yes, I remember. Param, kas tavat upadeshaha, kaha tavat upadeshaha. However, what is that instruction which Lord Krishna gave? Ravi says, Tasya upadeshasya eva ekam amsham adyavayam patamaha kila. Today we will indeed study one part of that very instruction. Amsham, ekam amsham means one part, a small part of that particular instruction. Shirshakastu, the title is Abhyaasavashagam Manah. Abhyaasavashagam Manah. Sangeeta says, Ko kaha artha asya shirshakasya. What is the meaning of this title? Ravi says, Manah chanchalam. Mind is unsteady, restless, fickle. Param, however, abhyasena vasham gacchati. It can be controlled by our habits or practice. So this is a part of, as we saw, the Bhagavad Gita, which Lord Krishna gives advice to Arjuna, who has surrendered himself to Lord Krishna. Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam is what Arjuna says. I have become your disciple. You tell me what I have to do, is what Arjuna prays to Krishna, and Krishna gives the advice, the Bhagavad Gita, which we see a few shlokas, 8 shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita now. The first one. Arjuna uvacha athake na prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Athake na prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. The padacheda is like this. Atha kena prayuktaha ayam papam charati purushaha anichan api varshneya balat iva niyojitaha. Tanvaya, prose order is varshneya. Atha kena prayuktaha ayam purushaha anichan api balat niyojitaha iva papam charati. We look at the pratipadarthas. Atha means now or then. Kena, by which or by whom. Prayuktaha means impelled or provoked. Ayam, this. Papam, sin. Charati, does. Purushaha, man or person. Anichan, not wishing, not desiring. Api, even then. Varshneya, O Krishna. Balat, by force. Iva, as though, as it were. Niyojitaha, constrained or set to work. So the meaning is, Arjuna said, or Arjuna asks a question here. O Krishna, O Varshneya, however, impelled by what does a person commit sin? Though against his wishes, constrained as it were by some force. This is from the chapter 3, the Karma Yoga chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This is shloka number 336, the 36th shloka of the 3rd chapter, that is Karma Yoga. Here Varshneya means one born in the family of Vrishnis. This is one more name of Krishna. They say that there are two instincts within each person. One is Daivi and another is Asuri. Daivi means divine, wanting to uplift one spiritually towards nobility, spirituality. The other is basal or animal type of instinct, which impels one to go in the wrong path. It's a demonic way. One is divine, another is demonic. Daivi is one, another is Asuri. Arjuna's question is, what is the nature of this evil, unseen force within us, which impels us, propels us to do some bad things, commit sins? What is the nature of that evil within us? How is that force? Evil, unseen force. Now Krishna gives the answer. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha काम एष क्रोध एष रजो गुणसमुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्येनमिह वैरिणम् काम एष क्रोध एष रजो गुणसमुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्येनमिह वैरिणम्. The padacheda is like this: kamaha eshaha, krodhaha eshaha, rajoguna samudbhavaha, mahashanaha, mahapapma, vidhi enam iha vairinam. Anvaya, prose order is like this: rajoguna samudbhavaha, eshaha kamaha, eshaha krodhaha, mahashanaha, mahapapma asti. Enam iha vairinam vidhi. We look at the pratipadarthas. Eshaha kamaha means this desire. Eshaha krodha, this anger. Rajoguna samudbhavaha, born of rajoguna. Rajoguna means, rajas means activity, dynamism and passion. Mahashanaha, all devouring, voracious eater. Mahapapma, all sinful, sinning. Vidhi, know, understand, realize. Enam, this. Iha, here. Vairinam, enemy or the foe. What is the overall meaning? Bhagavan, Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So Lord Krishna said, gave the reply. It is desire, it is anger. This desire, this anger, born of the Rajoguna, which is all devouring, all sinful. Know this as the enemy here in this world. This is also from chapter 3. This is the next shloka of what we saw earlier. The earlier one was 3.36. This is 3.37. The 37th shloka of chapter 3. So it talks about Rajoguna. There are three gunas. Basically, we have to know. One is called Sattva, which is tranquility, serenity. Rajas is dynamism, passion. Tamas is inertia or sloth, means sleep, always laziness. Out of these three gunas, it is the Rajoguna, which is dynamism and passion, which causes the dynamism, the agitation, the restlessness of the mind to get desire for worldly objects and do bad things to acquire those objects. It is all devouring. Mahashana means, some people say that it's like a well without a bottom. If you have a deep well which has no bottom, whatever you throw inside the well, it will accept that thing. So, however much you get agitated, the more and more agitation comes. There's no satisfaction at all. There's no contentment. That kind of situation happens. That is why it's called as all devouring Mahashana. And Mahapapma, it makes us do all kinds of sins. So stay tuned till the end of this video for a short story on the three gunas by Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Meanwhile, we go to the next shloka. Shaknoti haiva yas sodhum prakshārīra vimokshanāt kāmakrodhodbhavam vegam sayuktas sukhi naraha. Shaknoti haiva yas sodhum prakshārīra vimokshanāt kāmakrodhodbhavam vegam sayuktas sukhi naraha. The padacheda is like this: Shaknoti iha eva yaha sodhum prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodha udbhavam vegam saha yuktaha saha sukhi naraha. Anvaya is yaha sharira vimokshanat prak kama krodhodbhavam vegam iha eva sodhum shaknoti saha naraha yuktaha saha sukhi bhavati. The pratipadartha is like this: Shaknoti is able, iha eva, even while being here, in this world itself, while living here, before the fall of the body. Yaha, one who, sodhum, to withstand, to tolerate, prak, before, sharira vimokshanat, liberation from this body, before discarding the body. Kama krodha udbhavam, born out of desire and anger. Vegam, impulse, speed, momentum. Saha yuktaha, he is a yogi, a disciplined sage. Saha sukhi, he is happy. Naraha, person, man. Overall meaning is like this. Bhagavan Lord Krishna is telling here, one who is able, while still here, being in this world, to withstand the impulses born out of desire and anger, even before liberation from the body, before death, is indeed a yogi, is indeed a happy person. This is from chapter 5, which is Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So this is shloka number 5.23. Desire and anger create an avalanche of impulses in a person's mind. A person who has conquered joy and grief, pleasure and pain, win and loss caused by the gaining or losing of external objects of the world is indeed a true yogi, a disciplined sage, and indeed a happy person. What is the advice for us? Never get into the sway of impulses caused by the happenings in the external material world. Desire, when unfulfilled, leads to anger. Anger leads to what? We'll see later in this lesson. Now the next shloka. ध्यायतः विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषूपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते ध्यायतः विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषूपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते. Padacheda is like this. Dhyayatah Vishayan Pumsah Sangaha Teshu Upajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodhaha Abhijayate. Anvaya is Vishayan Dhyayatah Pumsah Teshu Sangaha Upajayate Sangat Kamaha Sanjayate Kamat Krodhaha Abhijayate. The Pratipadartha is like this. Dhyayataha means thinking or pondering over. Vishayan, sense objects, means objects in the world, external world objects. Pumsaha, a man. Sangaha, attachment. Teshu, in them. Upajayate, gets born or arises. Sangat, from attachment. Sanjayate, is born. Kamaha, desire. Kamat, from desire. Krodhaha, anger. Abhijayate, arises. So the overall meaning is, Bhagavan Lord Krishna says, when a man thinks of objects of senses, then arises attachment for these objects. From attachment arises desire to possess and experience these objects. From desire arises anger. This is shloka number 2.62 from the Sankhya Yoga chapter, second chapter. We give an example here. Suppose a person likes gulab jamun to eat. So suppose that person has constant thought or pondering over about gulab jamun, then that leads to attachment, which is called sanga here. Attachment to gulab jamun. And that leads to kamaha, means a strong desire to possess or eat this gulab jamun. Then what happens? If anyone opposes this possession and eating of the gulab jamun, then anger arises in the mind. For example, the person's bodily condition may not permit him to eat gulab jamun because of diabetes, etc. It leads to some kind of anger, frustration. I have so much desire for this jamun, but I am not able to eat. Those kind of frustrations and anger comes in the mind. That's what Krishna is telling here. These two shlokas, 2.62 and 2.63, which is the next one in this particular lesson, give a chain reaction about how a person's attachment for worldly objects ultimately leads to his or her downfall and destruction. So what is the chain? How does the chain start? We have a dhyayataha, means thought or constant thinking about some worldly object leads to sanga, which is attachment, and that leads to kama, which is strong desire, and kama leads to krodha, which is anger. This chain continues in the next shloka, which we see now. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Padacheda is like this. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. Sammohat spriti vibhramaha. Spriti bhramshat buddhinashaha. Buddhinashat pranashyati. The Anvaya is Krodhat sammohaha. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha. Buddhinashat pranashyati. So the Pratipadartha is like this. Krodhat from anger, bhavati comes sammohaha, delusion or infatuation. Sammohat from delusion, infatuation. Smriti vibhramaha, loss of memory. Smriti bhramshat from the loss of memory. Buddhi nasha, destruction of intellect or discriminatory power, means about right, wrong, etc. The power to discern between right and wrong, buddhi nasha, that gets destroyed. Buddhi nasha, from the destruction of intellect, pranashyati, the person himself perishes. So what is the overall meaning? Bhagavan, Lord Krishna is continuing here. From anger comes delusion, confusion, infatuation. From delusion comes loss of memory. From loss of memory comes destruction of the intellect, of the discriminative capacity. From the destruction of intellect, the person perishes. This is also from chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga. This is Shloka 2.63 of the Gita. These two shlokas, what we saw, number 4 and number 5 in your lesson, are told in the context of a question which Arjuna asks in Shloka 2.54 about the characteristics of a sthita prajna, a person of steady wisdom, equipoise, in constant communion with the divinity within, a true yogi, as told by sage Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras. So the chain is like this. From anger comes krodha, comes sammoha, delusion, confusion, infatuation, and from there comes smriti vibhrama, which is loss of memory about what was learnt, what was experienced earlier. And this loss of memory leads to buddhi nasha, loss of intellect, discrimination about good, bad, duty, non-duty, right, wrong, dharma, adharma, etc. This leads to pranashyati, nasha, which means it leads to destruction itself. The person himself gets destroyed. So we saw these two shlokas give a chain reaction about how constant thought about worldly objects ultimately leads to a person's destruction, nasha. We go to the next one. Tasmat tvam indriyanyadau niyamya bharatarshava papmanam prajahihyenam jnana vijnananashanam. Tasmat tvam indriyanyadau niyamya bharatarshava papmanam prajahihyenam jnana vijnananashanam. Tasmat tvam indriyani adau niyamya bharatarshava papmanam prajahi hyenam jnana vijnana nashanam. The Anvaya is Bhartarshava. Tasmat tvam adau indriyani niyamya jnana vijnana nashanam enam papmanam hi prajahi. Pratipadartha is like this. Tasmat, therefore, tvam, you, indriyani, the sense organs, the senses, which are thus, there are five of them: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the skin. Adau, in the beginning, from the beginning itself. Niyamya, having controlled. Bhartarshava, O best of the Bharatas. Papmanam, this sinful. Prajahi, destroy. Kill, evade, abstain. He, surely. Enam, this. Jnana vijnana nashanam, the destroyer of knowledge and wisdom. So, Bhagavan says, Lord Krishna says, therefore, O best of the Bharatas, Bharatashabha, Arjuna, first controlling the senses. I told you 5 of them, but they are totally 10. They are called as the Pancha Jnanendriyas and the Pancha Karmendriyas. Pancha Jnanendriyas are what I told you. Pancha Karmendriyas are Vak, Pani, Payu, Pada, Upastha. Then first controlling sense organs, then kill, destroy this sinful thing, the desire which makes you sinful, the destroyer of knowledge and wisdom. This is from chapter 3, Karma Yoga. This is Shloka 3.41 of the Gita. These shlokas are told in the context of controlling Rajoguna, which we saw earlier. Desire is what causes Rajoguna to rise in a person. This Rajoguna makes one commit sinful deeds and causes one to lose knowledge and wisdom. Therefore, Arjuna, destroy this desire towards material objects, is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Here we see 2 technical terms, Jnana and Vijnana. Jnanam is knowledge about reality of our existence, the characteristics of the world, the Jivatma and the Paramatman. Whereas Vijnanam is experiential knowledge, means knowledge gained by experience, which the person himself has experienced. It cannot be told to anybody else. It's an internal, deep internal experience. Wisdom, not just textbook knowledge. We go to the next one. Arjuna Vacha Chanchalam Himanaf Krishna Pramathi Balavadhridam Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Vayo Rivasudushkaram Chanchalam Himanaf Krishna Pramathi Balavadhridam Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Vayo Rivasudushkaram. Padacheta Padvibhaga is like this. Chanchalam hi Manah Krishna Pramathi Balavat Dridham Tasya Aham Nigraham Manye Vayoho Iva Sudushkaram. Anvaya is Krishna Manahi Chanchalam Pramathi Balavat Dridham Asti Aham Tasya Nigraham Vayoho Iva Sudushkaram Manye. So, what is the Pratipadartha? Chanchalam, restless, unsteady, fickle, he, verily, Manaha, mind, Krishna, O Krishna, Pramathi, turbulent, causing turmoil, Balavat, strong, Tridham, unyielding, firm, Tasya, of it, Aham, I, Nigraham, control, Manye, think, consider, Vayoho, of the wind, Eva, as, Sudushkaram, difficult to do. So, Arjuna asks, O Krishna, the mind is verily restless, turbulent, strong, unyielding, firm. I deem it quite difficult to control it, as to controlling the wind itself. We cannot control the wind. In the same way, I cannot control my mind, is what Arjuna is telling. This is from chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. This is Shloka 6.34 of the Gita. Krishna tells about mind control, concentration and steadfastness of mind as a precursor to meditation, dhyana. In this context, Arjuna asks a very valid question, which we too have this question. How to control the mind, which is very restless, turbulent, strong and unyielding? It is indeed difficult to control the mind even for a few seconds. Why? Because when I sit for study, the mobile phone rings, or some WhatsApp message comes, or some video comes, and I sit and watch the video, or go through YouTube and go through all the shorts which come one by one. You just swipe and go on, and half an hour, 1 hour goes away in that itself. I cannot control my mind at all. In digital age, it's even more difficult. However, we see that yogis meditate continuously for hours. If you read a book called as the Autobiography of a Yogi, you find that Swami Paramahamsa Yogananda used to meditate for hours and hours. And how are they able to do it? They are also human beings like us, but they have controlled the mind so much. So that's the question which Arjuna asks. How can they do that, whereas I am unable to control my mind even for a few seconds? That's the question. Chanchalam hi Manah Krishna. And Krishna gives the answer. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते. Padacheda is like this. Asamshayam mahabaho manaha durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. The Anvaya is mahabaho asamshayam manaha durnigraham chalam kaunteya etattu abhyasena vairagyena cha grihyate. Pratipadartha is like this. Asamshayam, undoubtedly. Mahabaho, O mighty armed one. Manaha, mind. Durnigraham, difficult to control. Chalam, restless, unsteady. Abhyasena, by practice. Tu, but. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Arjuna. Vairagyena, by dispassion, renunciation. Cha, and. Grihyate, is restrained. So the meaning is, Lord Krishna is telling the answer. Reply. O mighty armed one, O son of Kunti, O Arjuna, undoubtedly the mind is difficult to control and is restless. However, by practice and by dispassion, by renunciation, the mind can be restrained, the mind can be controlled. This is also from chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. This is 6.35 of the Gita. Krishna is replying about mind control. There are two words here, technical terms, Abhyasa and Vairagya. Let us take a look at these words. Abhyasa is practice, means constant, uninterrupted, daily practice, not even a break of a day. Sri Ramanujacharya in his commentary in the Bhashya says, Aharaha Anushtiyamanaha, means every day, every single day it is being practiced without break, no excuse, no compromise. It's a very strict regimen, strict rule, strict discipline. That is Abhyasa. Vairagya is renunciation, dispassion, not hankering towards worldly objects, not having the thought of worldly gains or losses, but steadfastness on the Lord, in the Lord Himself, in the Lord Krishna Himself. That's what is Vairagya. I told you that I'll tell you a story about the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. There's a beautiful book called Tales and Parables of Sri Ramakrishna, which I urge you to study, to read. And I'll tell you one story from there. In the dense forest of this world, once a rich man was passing through a forest where three robbers surrounded him and robbed him of all his wealth. After snatching all his possessions from him, one of the robbers said, "What's the good of keeping this man alive? Kill him!" Saying this, he was about to strike their victim with his sword when the second robber interrupted and said, "There's no use in killing him. Let us bind him fast and leave him here. Then he won't be able to tell the police." Accordingly, the robbers tied him with a rope, left him, and went away. After a while, the third robber returned to the rich man and said, "Ah, you are badly hurt, aren't you? Come, I am going to release you." The third robber set the man free and led him to the forest, led him out of the forest. When they came to the highway, the robber said, "Follow this road and you'll reach home easily." "But you must come with me too," said the man. "You have done so much for me. We shall be happy to see you at our home." "No," said the robber, "it is not possible for me to go there. The police will arrest me." So saying, he left the rich man after pointing out his way. Now, the first robber who said, "What's the good of keeping the man alive? Kill him," is tamoguna, tamas. It destroys the person. It is nothing but inertia, laziness, or sloth. The second robber is rajas, which binds a man to the world and entangles him in a variety of activities. Rajas makes the person forget about God. Sattva alone shows the way to God. It produces virtues like compassion, righteousness, and devotion. Again, Sattva is the last step of the stairs. Next to it is the roof. The supreme Brahman is man's own abode. one cannot attain knowledge of Brahman unless one transcends the three gunas. It's called as gunatita. It gets described in chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita, gunatita. In the exercise section of this video, of this lesson, I will tell you a very interesting aspect of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas from an engineering perspective. So stay tuned for that part. Now, the Gita Press of Gorakhpur has published something called Srimad Bhagavad Gita Padacheda, means individual words, Anvaya, and Sadharana Bhasha Tika Sahita, means along with a small commentary or a meaning, summary. This is available in Hindi, Kannada, Telugu, Bengali, Udiya, Asamiya, Gujarati, Marathi, Tamil, Malayalam, and Nepali. And you can buy this at this particular website. I suggest you urge your parents to get one of these according to your mother tongue and start reading it. And I want you to make it as a life mission at some point of time in your life to sit and study the Bhagavad Gita cover to cover. All the 700 shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita, I want you to understand along with a commentary. And this is the first step to that, buying this one particular book from the Gita Press. I would also like to state that some of the meanings of whatever I have told in this video have been taken from Swami Chinmayananda's these volumes of the Bhagavad Gita. Entire description of the Bhagavad Gita in simple English, means profound, very nice English, very beautiful English. Swami Chinmayananda has written it, and these are available in a set of books which you can buy in this particular website. I would also like to mention about Samskrita Bharati, which has these books on the Gita. We have Gita Sopanam 1 and 2. We have Gita Pravesha 1, 2 and 3. And we also have Gita Dhatu Rupavalihi, means the dhatus, the verb, the roots in the Gita. And then Shankara Bhashya of the Gita from Samskrita Bharati, which you can buy in this website. Those who know Kannada, there is a beautiful book called as Jivana Dharma Yoga by Pujya DVG, which you can buy from Sahitya Prakashana, Hubballi. And that has been, we have a translation of that to English also by one Dr. K. Natarajan, and you can please buy that one in case you need. So, in case you like this set of videos, would like to support this work, then the super thanks feature is enabled, and the super thanks will be gratefully accepted. This brings me to the end of this really long video. Thank you for staying with me all this while, for watching. We have finished the lesson part of this one, Abhyaasavashagam Manah. Like, subscribe, share. See you in the next video with the exercises part of this lesson. YouTube Amarabharati Samskrita. Shubham Bhuyat Mangalamastu Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu.